When did you first go to sea, Fred?
I went to sea in June 1963.
How old were you?
I was 17, going on to 18 years old. And my first ship was the Iron Kimberley. It was a Yampy class ship, very strong, sturdy ship built in Whyalla. And the crowd on there, total crew, I think was about 62 or 63. I'm not 100% sure, but around about 62. 18 was in the on the deck side, including the deck boys and the boats and so forth. Fantastic training ships. They were fantastic training ships, fantastic sea ships, but they were hard working sons of bitches too, weren't they?
Strange enough, I agree with you, mate, because that happened to be my first ship too. Only a couple of years later from you.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean the conditions on those ships, they were long hours we worked. The wages, I started off £9 a week, and we had to pay victualling out of that. But the work on that was long hours, especially when we were up at Yampy Sound and shipping, same as these ports here, shifting ship. But at sea we worked nearly a 12-hour a day when you work it out from 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night. So they were longer than 12 hours when you worked that out. But that's what it was about. But they were fantastic training ships, because I was very, very fortunate with a lot of my early ships. I saw with some fantastic people that were extraordinary seamen and loved their job. And I mean, as deck boys, we did learn about cleanliness, about tidiness, and about seamanship. And if you didn't, you soon got told or got pulled into gear.
Yeah, that's.
And we got taught a hell of a lot of unionism, because that was our breaking ground. Because that on Kimberley, what got me involved in, because I knew nothing about unions before I went to sea, was there was a dispute on that about the oil companies, and of course the men fought for conditions. We turned to, if you remember, on the Saturday morning on them, it was a 45-hour week, and the conditions on those ships were hard, because you had the mates standing over the bosuns, or tried to anyway, didn't succeed too often. And the position on those ships was that they really stuck them up. I mean, I was in that ship at times when we were stuck in a month in this port over conditions. And what really got me, really sort of hit home with me, the first trip as a kid, was when we come all the way around Australia, away 6 weeks, and the blokes had no money because they got logged every 4 hours. And the wives are down at Port Waratah, and there wasn't any money to give to them. It wasn't like now. Wages and salaries put in the bank, it was what you got in your hand. And that started me thinking about why men are having to do this type of action just to survive, you know. So it was a hard life, but it must have been extremely hard for those women and our mothers that were in that, because there was less money and away longer. So they were the champions of the working class, really, the wives, because they were the ones that supported the men. If they never got that support, we were buggered, you know.
But you remember some of the little things BHP used to get up on there, like you'd work all day Sunday clewing it up, then they put it up for 30 seconds past midnight Monday morning, so they didn't have to pay the EDP.
That's exactly right. And it's those tactics that BHP used. I always say that BHP was a fantastic teacher of good unionism, because it was those type of attitudes that got you back up. So naturally you went the other way.
That's right.
And in reality is that there was an affinity amongst those amongst seamen that you probably wouldn't get anywhere else in the workforce, because they were tied in together. The hardships, the weather played a tremendous part, but more so the attitude of the class factor on board the ship between them and us. And that brought you together. And the thing was, you knew your place. And your place was the struggle.
That's right.
The struggle for better conditions. And to the day that I finished, I never stopped that. That was always a struggle. The means might have been different, but the principle of it was the same. You kept fighting, whether it be for more leave or better pay, or if it wasn't for us. We also, the other thing that's forgotten was that the Seamen's Union, as long as I was in it, till it was amalgamated, had a community conscience. A total community conscience and a total commitment to the community. And to me, at times I think today with the individualistic attitude that is around to a certain extent, maybe not as much in our unions, the maritime unions, but in other organisations, that community social consciousness is weakened in spots. I'll use the word weakened because it hasn't drifted apart, because from time to time myself, Vets can go and kick him in the butt and remind him of that.
Yeah.
But that's the sad part about it. But they were fantastic ships. And I've got to say this, in the whole of my seagoing career, that I didn't meet too many bad people, you know, or odd people, I use the word.
Yeah.
There were mostly good people. There might have been different. There was all sorts. And, you know, we just talked about Burgess and we talked about Bobby Dunlop. And, I mean, I was on that sea road and we were away a long, long time, 26 weeks sometimes. They all threw the hand in, and I resented it. I said, the old man said to me, on the second trip, he got me. And he said, Fred, I don't know where your union got these blokes, but they're the best bunch of bloody blokes I ever saw with. I said, yeah, there might have been the oddest one. Look at Burgess and Bobby Dunlop. They're all crazy. I think we've all got to be crazy. But the ship was fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, there was we never had no arguments with the personnel on board. We might have had a couple with the companies, and we soon straightened that up. But they were fantastic people. But they weren't the only ones. I mean, I saw with some phenomenal people, Henry Johansson and Billy Bodman and old Birdie, you know, Billy Bird, and Adolf and John Brennan and Barney Ellis and all them. And look, the list goes on, and I shouldn't really name them because you
never
have to put
ending name.
it's forever ending.
Yeah.
But they impregnated my attitude and my way of life and my thinking. And it was a lot of them were Marxists, and I'm proud of that because it's gave me the stepping stone and the way to be able to move forward. And I've never varied from that. They were men of principle, very strong principle, and they were about helping each other out. It wasn't about me, my, and I. So even the supposed to be the no-hopers and all that, like poor old Johnny Burgess, I mean, he used to get in all the strife under the world, but you couldn't stop loving him. He was like a kid to us, you know what I mean?
That's right, yeah.
But they were there when you needed them, and poor old Bartley Ho, you know, I often think about poor old Bartley Ho and Tex and all those other blokes, but no, there was a tremendous amount. And the thing is, all that is so valuable. My kids keep saying to me, you know, and even my sister said to me the other day, Fred, you should put it down on paper. I said, yeah, but there's some things I can't put down on paper.
That's right.
And tell them some of the stories or the things that we got up to. But that was the characteristics of it. Yeah. So now, our duties on board ships varied from ship to ship, but basically the seamanship still exists. It was good in those days because as young people we did tremendous amount of seamanship. It changed in the 80s because we got the MIDC, and even that I took that on board, and I bit the bullet like everybody else. Went down to the college. I went down there actually 3 times on different things, but beside the training, because I thought that some of the programs that they had were very good, and some of them were probably I thought a little bit silly because you don't you know, some of those the seaman's characteristics they try to tell us, mate, we could have bloody wrapped them around our fingers, but we took it on board, and it was an experience. The thing about it though is we had an opportunity to be able to mingle with the future younger members that were coming on board, and I used to run political classes down there. Yeah, I did. Brian, I was down there with Brian Luther, and he coordinated that side of it. I coordinated the political side and also the sporting activity. So I used to work the shit out of them 6 o'clock or 7:30, and then they'd be over to him then. So no, it was good. Some of the vessels that I were on, they were very, very interesting. From ships like the sugar boats that were only seasonal and up and down the east coast here, to the Sea Road, the only car carrier we ever had.
Yeah.
The tankers that I was in, including the Stop Australia. I mean, I was based on that for 2.5 years, so they put me on the Sea Road. And
what were the other type of tankers you were in?
I was in the crude tankers.
Which ones were
Yeah,
they?
the Nervosa. I was also in the Amanda Miller, in the Robert Miller.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I finished the Amanda Miller up.
Did you?
I did the last 8 weeks in it.
Geez, that was a good ship too.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful ship there. Really well run and all that. Yeah, that was funny.
I had a bad run. I finished 3 ships up, one after another.
Did you really?
Amanda Miller, Cape Otway, and took the Australian Explorer to the breakers, one after another, all within a period of about 18 months.
Yeah. But that's how it goes. So they get to an age where they finish up. The Amanda, the Robert.
Yeah. The Amanda we handed her over to the Koreans.
The Nancy Hoot, I was in the Nancy Hoot, or the Nasty Hoop as we used to call it.
The Nasty Hoop, yeah.
Oh, that's the only one that used to frighten me a bit, because in bad weather when you start, you could see those plates really moving.
Yeah, my brother was in it.
Yeah.
In the Nasty.
Yeah, but it was a good crowd, good job. And then the Nervosa, of course, was the last one. I didn't like the Nervosa. It's the only ship that not the ship itself, but the whole attitude of the ship of that there. I thought myself, Shell was probably I was in Shell in early years in the Seaman, and it was a top job.
Yeah, but
hard work.
Then Trident took them over, didn't they?
That's where the problem was. And of course, attitude of engineers running the ships, that was that was our conflict there. But I stood up to them anyway. It was peculiar that for blokes that were spent many years on the deck, went down below and took it on board, but to be treated by the engineers as though you were some sort of a deal. Well, that's where the loggerhead come.
That's
right.
Know?
And I tell you what, Wayne, I take my hat off to firemen, blokes that work all the lives down there, because I said after 6 months working down below, we never understood on deck what they had to put up with.
Yeah.
And also that environment, the heat, the noise, sweat, going in that purifier room, getting zapped by that heat. No wonder those poor buggers never lasted long after they retired. A lot of them died in their 40s and 50s when I was young.
And typical, look at the Kimberley. When you was on it, she would have been coal burner, because she was still a coal burner when I was on. So down the fiddly, all the coal dust and the bloody
we had to go down there when the conveyor system stuffed up. The young blokes were the first ones down there on the barrow job. And the other, I was in the Stolt, I was in the Express for 4.5 years. Of course, I was in the Helix. I thought that Helix was a good ship. There might have been a few problems with attitudes there, but that we soon sorted that out, and you know all about that. But in general, the ship itself, I thought was superbly bloody. There might have been weak spots where it was built, but the way it was engineered and all that, I thought was a well laid out ship. You know.
Just on 10 years ago, this time 10 years ago, we're just bringing her through the Suez Canal on a maiden voyage.
So she's 10 years old.
She's 10 years old. July 97 she was built.
Well, see,
we flew across in June, July, end of July. I think I flew across.
So realistically, the ships really had it.
Yeah.
Because they're workhorses. Those
That's
ships.
right.
You know? And it is a hard working ship for everybody. You know, the hours and all that. No, so that was the tankers. I was in the oil rigs tenders too. I had all told 5 years in them, 4.5 years in the Lady Sonia and 6 months in the Eastern Tide. That was a superb experience. It really was. It was demanding, and because I was probably fortunate in the fact the experience and the people that I sailed in there were really good people. You know, because I went on them not knowing a thing, not a goddamn thing, and we ended up, unfortunately, we were tied up on that Lady Sonia with that Key Biscayne, and that was a heap of garbage. It was fatigued, and we lost her. We lost her 60 miles off Fremantle. She sunk on us. In
the first take, the one that I lost, you told me a story about the Key Biscayne. The skipper went in underneath her or something.
When we lost the tow and she's fatigued, what actually happened is the floating pontoons, where the legs were, they just opened up, just like cans. And that's where she took the water. Of course, she listed. When we lost the line, she listed. So the old man come up to us at midday and said, well, listen, they want us to go on and take another tow, and I'll only do it if you all support me. So we had a bit of a yarn about it. I said, all right, we'll take one, because the option is that if she loses Atlas Van Diemen's line, she'll roll on us, and we'll go down with her. There won't be, this is the option. We said, well, look, because there were still 9 blokes on board. That was our concern, see? Yeah. So we went under, but we couldn't connect because the 9 blokes on board had no bloody idea what was really going on. They were AWU blokes. Yeah. And that's how we got the seamen on board those ships under tow, those rigs, because of the inexperience that the AWU had as far as seamanship. So we went under it, but we couldn't connect. Well, as you know, 2 minutes past 6 that evening, this was around about 2 o'clock we did that, the Atlas Van Diemen's line snapped, she laid on her side and sunk within 5 minutes.
And she sank with all the life-saving gear still in place, didn't she?
Everything in place, yeah. They, see, the sad part about it was, we had a very experienced skipper on our ship, Robbie Anderson was his name, and he told them not to go past Europe because the weather, we towed her with 270 foot of air, legs in the air, which was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, because with the movement of the ship, the tear was open more and more and more, but the Yanks couldn't be told. But it was a heap of garbage when they brought it out here on the barge. When we slipped her off the barge, she was condemned for about, I think it was something like 200 odd rips that they had to repair, and also the silver line over the galley stayed burst open, so the 6 cooks walked off the bloody thing.
I did one, the Paramaswama, exactly the same. The Yankee shore skipper on there told us to keep an eye on the starboard after ballast tank that was taking water. As they were coming out, they were continually welding her up from when they put her on the bloody the heavy lift barge until they put her in the water, and they were still welding her as we put her into position. All the hairline fractures and that in her. They are heaps of shit.
Yeah, heaps of bloody garbage. No, but it was an experience. From there, we went down to the. One of the problems with the Sonia was she didn't have a shroud around her props.
No.
So her towing capacity was limited to the fact that there was no protection there. But we did do a lot of towing. We ended up working with the Polaris in the down at Bass Strait, and that was an experience because Roger Donahue and myself were on watch, and Roger saved my life that night. And this silly skipper were out on there. We connected the tow and that, and next thing I hear Roger, I'm on the after deck, Roger singing out, Fred, drop, and I dropped, and the bloody tow line come over. I would have been dead, would have took me to the side of the ship and cut me in half. But when we run up, we stuck her up. When we got in, we stuck her up and said we want all the speakers, because he swore to this day that he sang out on the speaks, but he took off. He shouldn't have took off. He should have blew the whistle. It just goes to show he didn't like us, I don't think.
Roger Donny, you missed 100% in the Swines of '89 when we did the retrainees course. He reckons he should have got 100%.
But he's a superb seaman, Roger. He's a good seaman, good bloke. I see him from time. He was in here the other day. I
haven't seen him since '89. Since we did the.
He lives up near my place at Abermain. So no, he is going all right at the moment. But that was the Lady Sonia. So I got out of her and I moved back on from the Lady Sonia. I went to the Stolt Australia and ended up gaffer there for 2.5 years till Paddy asked me to go into the Sea Road, and then from the Sea Road, of course, I got crook and I ended up in the Little Express, the self-discharge. Well, that was an experience because I went back as a assistant caterer. Well, in the finish, I ended up having a bloody skipper doing the vacuum with me and the chief engineer making the beds, and I didn't know how to do that. I don't know nothing about that, but I did it till I was right to go on deck. That's when Tony Pappas asked me to go on the Australian Endeavour, and I did 8.5 years there, and that was a wonderful experience, that ship, because even it was a 69 plan, come out in 91, but we did a lot of all the lashings around this coast, a lot of extremely hard work, but never, I wouldn't let anyone interfere with the run of the deck. The time, the clock was all done by us, and we had a great lot of support from upstairs, not so much after the first year with the engineers, but they kept out of our way. But as far as upstairs, the old man and that never interfered with the run of the ship.
The old man, the big tall red-headed bloke?
No, Kevin you're talking about. He come there only a couple of times relieving. Tony Wallacock was
Tony,
He was a good skipper, and then after Tony left, I can't remember, Kevin come only for 2 trips, And then there was another bloke that was skipper off the Able Tasman at the time, a little bloke, very quiet man, but never interfered.
Not Jimmy Lewis. No, Jimmy didn't go there.
No. And he was he just kept to himself all the time. Kevin kept himself too, and so did Tony Wycott. But Tony Wycott was the sort of bloke, if you're doing something, he'd get in there with you. You know.
Yeah.
But no, that was a good experience, and we had no interference. The ASP became a bit difficult over the EBAs. That took about 18 months to sort that out because we wouldn't budge from some of our positions, and I didn't go too much on Andy Stewart and his attitude, so that's where the loggerheads were there. Because I was with him on the Sea Road too. We bragged about getting rid of certain sections of the waters on the shore side, so him and I had a couple of clashes on there because he used to love running around with the scrambled legs on the shoulders when everyone was there, and I just told him exactly what those scrambled legs represented. So he fell in the line in the finish because Tony Burl, who was skipper there, told him you don't carry on. I mean, there was a funny incident on that ship, you know. This is how much that Tony Burl thought of the crew. We had a third mate come on there, he was a nut. And he's always picking Bobby Dunlop, not realising that Bobby Dunlop.
Can I say, silly boy.
Anyway, Burgess calls me on the radio, Fred, get your ass up here. Bob's just knocked the third mate out in the alleyway. By the time I get up there, this silly dickhead's starting to come around. I told Bob to get into his cabin, and what happened is that, anyway, we had to front the old man, and the third mate demanded that Bob be given instant dismissal. So Tony Bill's sitting there looking at me. He turns around to the third mate, he said, well, it's like this, mister. You go and pack your bag, you're on your way. Bob's been here longer than you. And that same third mate was coming to the Endeavour, and Tony Walcott wouldn't have him on board the ship. He was a head case, see? So no, and in those experiences, I mean, we worked hard on all those ships. You know, people don't realise ashore the work and the responsibility seamen have on board a ship.
That's right,
And it doesn't matter what position you're in. I mean, we fight the bloody battles of the elements together. That's not a singular venture. But the blokes that are out there all the time's us, you know what I mean? So my great encouragement was the disputes that we encountered, and they weren't just the Patrick's disputes, the miners' disputes. There was a whole heap of them that were continually running in the Seamen's Union when we were in the Seamen's Union, when there was a Seamen's Union. The sticking up of the ships, the Vietnam War era, you know, the continual battle there, and the politicised politics and community-based arguments. The inspiration to me, and that was of course the 72 convention, 100-year convention in Sydney, when you get an old bloke like E.V. Elliott get up there and inspire you, you know, without any sort of, and all the delegates there. And I mean the characters like Cheeky Harry and all that, and I mean, unbelievable. I sailed with Cheeky 2 times. He was the bloke that taught me to splice, but he was the laziest bastard I've ever sailed, you know, wouldn't fire on the, but it was fantastic. But the disputes, the Patrick dispute is one where the Maritime Union was involved. But you know, in the Seamen's Union, we supported the miners up in Gunnedah, and it was through the attitude of Laurie Steen and Newcastle branch and Kembla branch, and we go up there and we still considered, with great esteem, and I took a tour of the young blokes, which I do continually on the shipping campaign. And wherever we go, we have a hard time paying for things because the buggers in the hotels don't want to take our money. And it is, and that's the one thing that I really like, and I hope that goes on, is the teaching factor with the younger blokes, where we take them away. We go up to Gunnedah, the Aquip, and that's not just Newcastle. That's Brisbane, Sydney, Kembla, Newcastle. And we emerge there, and we have a fantastic, and I mean, we've had some fantastic delegations over the years from right around Australia go to different ventures. But the big stick-ups, and and I know that we used to have some silly stick-ups in the early piece, but we sorted that out and we got underway.
But, you know, like you said, silly ones and that, but we also had disputes like, and Elaine told me about this with John, when they got the oncology department here at the hospital.
Look, that was a, look, you've got to, one thing you've got to say about our people. They talk about politicians and employing strategists. They would employ for you, Seaman, because I tell you what, when it comes to strategies, I mean, John Brittain, that was a marvellous bit of, we needed an oncology because people were travelling to Sydney. I know with my mother-in-law, and my wife in the finish still had to go down to the Prince of Wales with a PEP scanner. But what John did there was they call it Rand's Navy. There were 72 ships laying out there, and the coal companies are jumping up and down. And the position was that John just put this to Rand: if you support an oncology sector at the Maritime hospital, we'll consider the fact of moving them. And that's exactly how that occurred. But there's nothing to signify that in that oncology section, because I've sat in there week in and week out with my wife, and there's nothing on the plaque to signify that. And I mean, look at the money that we've gave over the years, right around Australia, Seaman, right around Australia, to support all those type of dudes. No, that was fantastic what he done there. And I mean, in every port you go, those officials in those ports, they all had those type of things. That's what I meant about a community bloody spirit. See, tremendous community spirit. And no, and the thing is too, is when you go to political meetings with different organisations, you learn that ability to be able to address those situations, and people come to you and say, well, where do you get that? I said, well, I've got it at sea. Because I start with some tremendous sea lawyers.
That's right.
And they're pretty bloody smart. They worked out. I think the old overtime sheet got them pretty well educated awful quick, didn't it?
And you know, like when you were saying your first job, same as mine, the Iron Kimberley. The minute you left the Heads, you lost TV anyway. So
you're right, Wayne. It is. I mean, progress. The word progress can sometimes be a digression to what really is about. Today, unfortunately, on that Nervosa, they all got their TV in their room and their DVDs and all that, and it's an antisocial thing. Because even though we worked long as deck boys on the Kimberley, all those Yankee class, I was in the four of them. If the weather was good, they used to sit up around the funnel of a night time and they'd tell you the yarns.
That's right.
Pass the history or in the. I mean, the meetings went 2 hours sometimes. Tremendous speakers, and passed it on. It wasn't about the individualistic thing in the cabin.
That's right.
Watching a DVD and all that garbage instead of conversing with your shipmates and find out what he's about, and what you're about, you know. And also that type of affiliation with those people in Infinity is that it was also a safety factor in times of need when the ship got into trouble and things like that. Because I mean, I was on that old age when we were tied up in Port Hedland and the ship called Victory Bay slammed straight into us. The first thing we did was run down the combination to make sure everybody was there. We knew what to do. You know, things like that. And these young people today, they'll work it out. Don't worry about that. They'll work it out. There's no doubt about it. So that's why it's important. The other thing that I loved was going to the Stockworth meetings. You know, go to the Stockworth meetings, meet your mates, listen to the branch reports, listen to the National Office report. I mean, I shipped out of Sydney. I shipped, the first part was in Newcastle, then I went to Sydney. And I mean, sometimes there's only bloody standing room. You go to Melbourne. I used to go to the Kiwi once too. I go, when we went over to Kiwi, I go up and see the Union Office, so can I go to the Stockworth meeting? And a little bit different over there because they had the factions over there. But here, I mean, we had the factions here, but they all got on, you know.
That's right.
And I mean, in Melbourne, I know I was on the Brisbane Trader going across there. We got in the Melbourne Trader, and I mean, there was different factions there, but I liked all the blokes. You know, from the Communist Party. The only ones that I used to get a bit pissed off with was the Trots, you know. If you got the Trots, I haven't got much time for the Trots, but in general, the blokes themselves were bloody good blokes. In the West, you know, they sort of, I was on the age run up and down, 6 months carrying sleepers for that Mount Newman project in '68. Well, the age had no air conditioning. You slept on stretchers out in the bloody deck, and 2 years had to work the gear, because those derricks were bloody topping lift. You had to use the top lift on the drum end, no bloody ratchet gear. So, and I'll tell you a little funny incident on that age. We tied up over there for about, in Fremantle we were, at this particular time, and all the wharfies were bluing about the bloody gangway, because those old gangways were wooden gangways, they get cracks because of, you know, the timber. Anyway, come bloody 4 o'clock, they were jumping over the side, and my mate was a big Swede called Jennie Henry Jones, and he was a mountain of a man in his youngster, strong as a bull. So this got to him. So he's jumped on the wharf and he wanted to clean all these wharfies up. I'm only a little bloke and I'm hanging off his arm because I had to stop that right hand from swinging. I was saying, then we get back on board the ship. But when he, just before he died, his ashes were in here for 4 years. And I, like, he was the bloke that taught me stage work as an ordinary seaman. Because I used to sit on the stage, you stand up. I sit and get up, I'll throw you off the stage. And he taught me the finger touch, you know, and brain. But what I admired about Henry was he was a Swede and he met up with a woman that had a couple of kids. To this day, she's still alive. She still gets the Swedish pension. And those kids, and he bought a house and she got all that. That's how, you know, he cared about, you know. And he was a caring man in his own way, even though he was a big Swede and big chin, and, you know. And then I had I'll tell you another funny incident about a little bloke called Ronnie, who was a Finn. And he was a funny man, honestly. I could give that bloke, he was on the start with me as well as the Endeavour, I could give that bloke a job, drunk or sober, and not worry about it. It'd be perfectly done. But he used to say to me, "Hey boss, I do the fucking, you do the fighting." Because he seen me clean up a couple of blokes on that bloody... But that's the sort of bloke, you better delete that little bit, otherwise the women might get a bit pissed off. I don't care if you do, if you don't, but that's the sort of characters that we saw with. They were prepared to stick by you.
Now, we'll just go back to one thing, as we said, it's called An Australian Merchant Seaman Story in His Own Words. And, you know, and they've got to understand. The old four-letter word fucking comes out quite a few times.
Oh, does it ever, mate, on board a ship?
That's
I
right.
mean, the bloke that impressed me the most with words was Barney Ellis, because he learned 2 words every day at the dictionary. He was a wizard with words. He were like that man. He only died just a few weeks ago, and he wrote his own eulogy. And the only 2 people other than his family from this side was Tommy, myself, and Elaine and Dap, Bobman, and Barney. All the years that I knew him since I was a kid, never changed in his principles, in his attitude. He was a man that was prepared to teach. He was a super, all that knots and all that's out there on that board he'd taught. But that's the type of characters we had, you know. And I think yourself, because also, like, I mean, at times you were 2 in a cabin, things like that. You got to know people. I mean, that little eat boat that I was in, there used to be 6 inches of water in the bloody alleyway.
Was that the one where you threw your sea bag up on the wharf and said, "I'm getting out of this"?
Mate, I was sick for 6 days, mate. And Joey Patterson, I was relieving Joey Patterson, I was the bucker. And I was permanent second wheel, permanent 4 to 8. And the old man was at Fontaine. And every morning I'd go up at 5 to 5, and I'd stand outside his cabin and spear my ass up. Oh, mate, we lived like pigs in those ships. But there you see where the conditions. The Urunga, the Timbara, they're all old
Another
bombs.
one of my old jobs, the Urunga.
The Urunga. But you had a laugh a minute.
That's right,
You had a laugh
they were hard
a bloody
jobs,
minute.
but they were good jobs, you know.
What about the skipper on there, that Anderson? Bloody drunk. We had the second mate pay off, so Pete's burning himself on the bloody 8 to 12, and he says, "You'd be right, if you want anything, we're going from Whaler to Bell Bay. If you want anything, 2 stamps on the deck and I'll come up." We never ever got him up yet. We took the ship all the way there. When we got the Whaler, when we got to Bell Bay, he said, "Now I want the shore, I want the gangway out, but I want it alongside." I said, "We can't put it alongside. We smash the gang." I'm telling you, ordering you. I said, "You're the boss." So I put the line on the drum end, pull it alongside, smash the gangway. That's the sort of idiot he was, you know. But it's the characteristics of that made it, you know.
His brother was totally different.
Oh, was he
His brother was an arsehole.
I know. In my opinion, there could have been life saved if he would have used a little bit of...
on the Moringa when the Noongar sank.
You know, that was at that particular time. You know, I was my first boatswain job on the Iron Windham, and that was another dispute. For 6 days we had a dispute. I wouldn't let the ship go because of the Noongar sinking, and we had a massive big jib on the deck. We made them welded on the deck, and because on the way across we carried the railway bogie wheels, and they got loose. Yeah. Talk about 7 days of no sleep, just touch and go, and mate, BHP played its best, and Desi Dan's like he was the official there, and they were going to lock me as the base because I refused to turn the crowd to, because they worked number 3, number 4 deliberately after midnight and kept us away. So I said, there's no way I'm sending anybody aloft, and they come down. So we all end up at the doctors. So tactic of ours, you know, 5 of us couldn't get the P's and D's to break the gear out. When we told them what was going on, they put it on the black. Cost them some money, and we ended up before the commission, and we won that. Elliot just said, just be careful, because once there's a ruling, mate, it's there forever. And we won that ruling, see. They never forgave me though, the BHP, after that. Not that I care about that much, because they weren't friends of the... You know, you think about it, they could have been far more cooperative, they could have got better results instead of using the whip. You know, that's all they wanted to use, the whip. And I mean the tactic of the mates against the engineers and vice versa, to keep a ship in the same tactics that Johnny Howard's used with the IR.
That's right.
It's absolutely no different, you know. And the one thing I've got to say this, that it teaches you very quick as a young person. You start thinking before you do your talking, you know.
Well, you know what you were saying before when we first started off about the class system on the iron boats and that. When I first went to sea on the Kimberley, I was straight out of the bush.
That's right.
And I'd walked up, midship's doing something, and this bloke walked out, and I said, good morning. I found out later he was the skipper, and it was like I'd pulled out a gun and threatened to shoot him or something like that. You know, what's this, a deck boy doing, talking to the captain, you know?
The class, see, that's done deliberately to be able to control. And the thing is, when you can get over the top of that, you got them buggered, because I mean, on the last ship, all my ships in the last few years, I used to call them all comrade captain. You know, and some of them didn't like it. But I brought them down to that level. You know, I said, hey, hang on a minute, what are you on here? You're the skipper, you're the manager of this vessel, but you're just like me, you hold your hand out for that bloody paycheck.
And when the ship sinks, you're all in the same lifeboat.
Exactly right, exactly. Well, I had a blue on that's on that SUA Princess. I was relieved 5 months. And I was heavily involved in the martial arts. I used to go up behind the old man's deck there where the engine was. I'd do all my exercises. So he'd come out after about a week and said, you can't do it here. I said, I'll go down below with the third engineer. He goes, he said, no, you can't go down there either. I said, you're saying that I'm restricted on the ship to my accommodation? He said, that's what I'm telling you. I said, oh, good, that's all right. So anyway, you wouldn't want to know in Melbourne, the tension winch is stuffed up. We had a manual handle. I said, hang on a minute, we had a meet. I said, hang on a minute. That's not the go, because it wasn't 1 for 1. And it was because of his attitude and embedded in my mind. We ended up dealing with a company, got the 2-crew system on that bloody ship. But before that, I had a blue with him because I come out of A&L and I had white overalls. And he pulled me out and said, you got white overalls, it's conflicting with officer's dress. I said, you got to be kidding. What about the lifeboat?
Was he a little short-ass bloke?
He was a little, Higgs. I
think he was the same prick that was in the Karoon when I was there.
He hated everybody. Hated everybody.
Short man syndrome. I think he was the same skipper that was in the
Wouldn't let you in his cabin. Wouldn't let you in his cabin. I'll tell you a funny thing there. We used to ring bolt people, see? And this bloody boast, I can't remember, young bloke, it was a funny thing on there. Anyway, they used to ring bolt Sheilas occasionally, see? And the old man said, there's women on board the ship. I said, no, there's no women on board the ship. Said to this bosun, I said, I hope the Christ you haven't ring bolt any Shirleys. He said, no, there's no women on board this ship. So he got a dress. He might have been a cross dresser. So he got a dress, put the dress on, high heels, run up the bridge, kissed him on the back of the neck and run down. Oh, Jesus Christ. I just could, you know, it was just a laugh a minute.
That's something that fucking Burgess would have got up to.
Exactly right, you know. But I said to him later on, I said to the bosun, I said, listen, I'm a little bit worried about you. He said, what do you mean, friend? I said, well, nobody'd carry a dress unless they got a problem with it. He says, I'm a little bit different. I said, yeah, I can see that. So I let it go at that, because you're pretty fit bloke too. Yeah, so no, they were fantastic blokes. Yeah, so we were up to now.
Well, we've got on about the characters, I suppose. We've got past that. So, in your time at sea, you know, the highs and lows, what, you know, good times, bad times. Oh, hits and near misses. We've already gone through that part there. The Seaman Junior of Australia, mate. What did it mean to you?
The Seaman Junior was my life, really. That was, you know, we breathed it, we slept it, and it was a way of life with us. And what it really was, it was character building. The Seamen's Union of Australia made us what we were. Those of us that were involved in the political scene, it was an inspiration. With blokes like Johnny Brittain, E.V. Elliott, Taffy Sweetness and Billy Bird and all that. I mean, I had Billy Bird with me for 2.5 years. And the insight and the wisdom that they passed on was phenomenal. And even John, you know. I mean, John and I went down and saw, on behalf of the branch here, to Nelson Mandela when he was here. Laurie Steen organised that. And I pegged his brain the whole night. And you know, I asked him about the Schedule C and all that, you know, the manning and all that. And he said, look, we were very fortunate that we got away with it, because in overseas ships, going back to the early 70s, they only had 7 ABs at the time on deck, that's including the bosun, and 2 down below. Well, we still had the big crews, see? And it was only just sheer luck and opportunism at the time, but it was the skill of the organisation being able to do it. But I think myself, what made those people unique too was they were dedicated socialists, they understood the system, but they also did all their own law work, because the union couldn't afford lawyers, so they all became sort of bloody, they all done, I think, industrial law to a certain extent, the elementary stages of it, and done it. And when you went to the commission with them, that was a bloody inspiration to watch them work, you know.
But the main thing too, and a lot of people don't realise, is they all went through the same fucking upbringing that you did.
Exactly.
Deck boy or greaser.
They knew it.
Bucko, AB.
They knew exactly. And the thing was, they knew if you was bullshitting.
Yeah.
If you went up to them with a complaint,
I
mean, I got logged, and I'll tell you this. I was relieving Colin Palmer on the Iron Knight. And anyway, this is when this new system come in. And you wouldn't want to know. Bloke called Frank Graham is the president of this bloody, the vets here. Frank said to me, there's a horse run on Saturday, it's a certainty. Peter Smith's riding, see? I know nothing about horses. I'm not into horses. So I said, well, we've got a ship and all that. The way it works, we'll have our hours in by midday Friday. We can go home, come back Mondays. But the mate's come up to me and he's ordered me for that night. And I said, no, we finished. We've got a 10-hour break. So we all go home. I tell everybody in Nick Knock about this bloody horse. The bloody thing's still running to this day. And I said to Frankie Graham, what happened to the horse? Oh, the word was that they brought another horse in the wind. As we walk up the gangway, the mates stand on top of the gangway. 5 of us go up there to get logged. And I told John the story and I said, this is bullshit, you know. Because of the mix-up. Because I phoned up Snowy Webster before, he said, you're doing everything right. So John got on the phone to PHP. We all got money back because of the system. Another time was over the Vietnam War on the Iron Warrior. We stuck every ship up in the port. And BHP said, you'll never get the money back. John got it back. He said, the arse will fall out the ship before the bloody thing is sailed. You know, that was the type. But I'll tell you the type of bloody person he was too. Every year, they'd send him a case of champagne. Every year send it back. He wouldn't take a thing off them bastards, you know. He was 1 in a million, you know what I mean? 1 in a bloody million, that bloke. But the inspiration from blokes like him, you know, the research that he does for us, the political attitude, just got to keep him in line occasionally.
He's talking about you, Tommy.
I don't want to say too much about him because it'll go to his bloody head. But no, the politics of the Seamen's Union was superb. Because it was communist led, and there was the ideology of those leaders. They knew the direction of the working class, what they needed, and how to do it, and they understood it. And that's the one thing I say is the leadership of the ALP is a question mark to me always, because
Yeah.
the ALP wants to dictate the terms of the way that the union movement goes, and it's not in the interest of the working class, because they want to drive it from up top instead of driving from down below.
With the Seaman Union, how did it? Well, we've gone through how it influenced shipboard life, but what about the welfare of seamen and their families and that?
Yeah, it played a tremendous part, because as we talked about the ships that were on, you two in the cabin, to the state now, where people have got their own self-contained little units on board a ship, and that played a tremendous part. But the thing about it is, there wasn't just the accommodation. It was also about all the backup systems that you required, the medical system, the compos that you needed if you had to go, and also the social factor on board ships. It wasn't just about going to work, it was also about your life. It was your life. Over half your life spent on board a ship. So it played a significant part in blending that. But don't forget too, Wayne, in those days that we went to sea, there were superb libraries on board.
Yeah.
And all the journals were bound and kept on board. And that was an inspiration for the younger people to keep reading that stuff, because that related to the history and the struggle.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the days when they were journals, not today, the bloody women's magazine you get put out today.
That's exactly
Almost
right.
weekly,
You haven't got it now.
Yeah, no, that's right, mate.
And the thing was that you had, and the other thing too was, in those stop work meetings, there was a hell of a lot of debate that formulated your characteristics.
Yeah.
So, all of us that come through the Seamen's Union would have a completely different approach to the lifestyle of what seamen are accustomed to what they are today.
Yeah. There's another thing, with stop work meetings. A lot of shore people get amazed at the way that seamen would talk to their officials at a stop work meeting.
Yeah.
That would never happen in their industry,
No.
And but that harks back to our officials coming up through the ranks again.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think that's important too. And don't forget, those officials did go back to sea from time to time for a month or so to familiarise themselves with the newer type of ships and the newer type of facilities that was on there.
Yeah.
And the point was, those officials were part of the industry. Not like AWU, they employed people and so forth and all that.
Yeah.
And they understood the philosophy and the ideology, and that was what it was about. They understood the men when they were talking about something. They could converse, and that's where they had these industrial officers over the barrel, because they didn't know. They only read it out of a book. These blokes lived it.
Lived it, that's right.
Lived it day and night, And I mean, don't forget, those old-time blokes, a lot of them down below were on the shovels, and I mean, those hatchboards in those Yimpi class, you remember that, was 1,470 of them in the tween decks. And you had 3 tarps on all the way along with the four decks. That was hard work, and as a deck boy you started off with the wedges, and if the wedges weren't right, you soon copped it, didn't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Can you remember, was the pickup before the roster system with you? So I had the roster system when I
well no, what happened was we used to go in the pickup here in Newcastle where I started at Keith Lobley. And I used to love it when he used to say, we're allocating you to a ship, It was a nice word for Shanghai into a bloody job. Now that was run by the union, and that was another thing that's very significant to the Seamen's Union, was the keeping of the roster system, because they gave everybody an equal opportunity and equal time on board ships. We protected that for many years, and unfortunately we lost that. And that was bloody Paul Keating, the Labor Party, that took that office. And that was wrong, because that was a regulation system. It was a system where everybody had an equal opportunity to get into a job.
We better delete one part there. It was Peter Reith who did that.
Peter,
not Keating, Peter Reith.
Yeah, but he started, but it was Paul Keating that knocked it right on the head then, because he said companies can company employed with it. Peter Reith was an evil bloody machine, but Keating was the bloke that put the death knock on it. And unfortunately, that's how we ended. But no, the roster system to me was a good system, because it gave, you went on the roster, and the leave system. I mean, we fought for many, many years to get that leave, and in the 70s when we got that nearly equal time, that made our life, and also our wages then became better. that made our lifestyle a lot better. You know, it gave us quality time with our families, and you know, you got to in all that history before, as I said, without the right woman, you would have been buggered.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you hark back to when you first went to sea there with the leaving. That was your outport days and your home port days, and if you got too long in the home port, you started to lose.
BHP used to bloody rule it, so you never got it.
Yeah, 11 months to get a couple of weeks in.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You know.
They used to dock you Saturday and Sunday in your own port.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was fantastic when we got the leave, mate.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I mean, we never went for big money. We just went to retain our leave system because of the quality of life it gave you with your wife and your kids and your family.
The SRF, mate.
SRF, mate, that was a brilliant manoeuvre by the officials of those days, like Garrity and Brittain and Snowy and all of them, and Elliot at the time too, in the initial start of it. And to backdate it, I mean, if you remember that 1972 convention when we voted on it, that's when it was voted on, back to 65, everybody was paid back to 65, those that, the older blokes that wouldn't have had nothing. Look, it was it's a fantastic, fantastic system, probably one of the best in this country, I think. And my first contribution, I've still got my little card, the blue card, was $1.35.
$1.30, that's right. Yeah.
I've still got it at home. I've kept all that, and I mean, I hope that the younger people of today and the future appreciate that, to be able to get that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ship owners that didn't want to contribute.
No, that's right.
Same as on the wharf. I mean, that dirty, filthy heap of shit that come out and created the Patrick's dispute.
Yeah.
He wants to rip into it all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Corrigan, I'm talking about.
Yeah. How did going to sea affect your family life?
Well, I'll probably be one of the very fortunate one. I had a very supportive wife because we got married very young. We've known each other since we were 15 years old. It was hard at times, especially when the kids were young. Very, very hard. In between the first and the second one, it was extremely hard. But we understood that was the way of life. That's what I did before we got married, and we both looked forward to the leave.
Yeah.
You could hear the excitement in Lynette's voice when I used to phone her up, say I'll be home tomorrow, I should be in port tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it was hard, but when I look back at it, it was rewarding too, because it was quality time I had with her.
Yeah.
You take the average bloke ashore. He never got the time we did. He was same for the 24 hours for that 4 weeks or 5 weeks, or it was 2 months. I mean, I went away too for a long period. I'm an Australian exporter over the States and that.
Yeah.
When she first started out, when we done the double headers, that was 5 months.
Yeah.
18 hours in Sydney in between. That was hard on her.
Yeah.
But she done a phenomenal job. And a lot of those women did.
I was lucky when I joined the exporter. That was the last of the double headers, so I only had to do the single trip.
Single one. Yeah. No, she was a wonderful ship too. I picked her up in Bremerhaven, and I would have stopped there. Only the kids were younger, and I wanted to be a bit closer. And my young bloke was heavily involved in soccer.
Yeah.
He was a tremendous good soccer player, and just that we all did that. We all did things to please the family, but. No, I wouldn't have got where I did without the support of my wife.
Yeah.
Politically, industrially, and in my work, she supported me totally. And I mean, Tommy and I often refer to it. It's just sad that she went before her time. That was bloody wrong. But what can you do? That filthy rotten cancer.
Yeah.
And that's where that oncology section there comes to mind. I mean, I spent a lot of time with her there in the last 2 years of her life. But she was a wonderful, wonderful person. And I'd never ever get anyone like that again. But what I did when I went home, I spent the time with her, but she'd come with me. I used to come into the meetings and so forth that we used to have on a Sunday, and we did everything together.
Yeah. And
in the early stages of our kids, where our kids couldn't go, we never went. But they understood the politics. They put the politics into my kids, and Lynette was because she come from the mining sector. her grandfather was a miner, and a father, well, he was a timber worker.
Oh, yeah.
But she understood the strikes and the hardships which were there in the early days, the history. So she was very, very supportive of what we did, because, I mean, in those days, you know, when we stuck up ships like Aussie traders and all that, we had disputes. We'd go a month without any money.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and they understood the hardships. So, no, they were very the family life. If you was a married man, the family life was important, that it was right in place when you went away.
Yeah.
Because if somebody was unhappy at home, that reflected on board the lifestyle on board the ship, and that caused problems sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So, no, all in all.
The Aussie Exporter, just to give you an example, there was a bloke there, he was 40, in his mid-40s. He'd just married a 21-year-old girl. The minute you left Australia, you couldn't talk to him. You couldn't even say good morning to her, anything. He was one of the Peggies that was there. And he'd be like that the whole way around for the whole trip. I don't know why he stayed on the ship. I think he was 2 trips there in the 3.5 years I was there, and then he got out of it. But it was ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking about the politics and that, now there was one here we'd forgotten about, or didn't forget about, that when we drew up this list of questions that had never ever come up, and one bloke said, well, how come you haven't got that? So it's a new one that when I last interviewed, the one I lost, Seaman Junior School, mate.
Seaman Student School.
The one down at St George's Basin.
Yeah, St George's Basin. Yeah. Look, it's a hell of a good facility. I was there at the opening, and I've been back quite a few times.
Yeah, I've been there a few times too.
And look, it's a wonderful, wonderful utility, and I hope it's going to be utilised a lot more in the future than it has the last couple of years. But it's an essential apparatus of our organisation, and other organisations use it to be able to take a group of men and women down there and sit down with them and go through the politics of our organisation, and also the politics that we're involved in, with especially now with the IR laws and so forth. That was the last one that we did just a few months ago, and I think that was a step in the right direction. It's a little bit far out of place for some ports, but we still managed to get there.
It's a good little place too.
Oh, it's a top
fantastic.
place. Yeah, top place. And the thing is, you're able to sit down there, express all the bloody opinions and all what you want to do, and it creates a lot of controversy because of the input from other organisations.
Yeah. I remember one of them I went to, we had this first trip deck boy, he'd come from West Australia across. And so, being the first trip deck boy, we've all, you know, had the meetings and that, so we made him the chairman. Garrity was one of the blokes who came down when he was the Federal Secretary, and I think we had Taffy Sweetens and all them coming down. And now Garrity, being Garrity, was mucking around and everything like that, and I said to the young bloke, pull him into gear. Oh, and you're the chairman. He said, I can't do that. I said, why not? I said, you're the chairman of the meeting. He said, that's the Federal Secretary. I said, he's only another fucking seaman now, pull him into gear. The little bugger wouldn't pull him into gear, but Garrity just played on that thing, you know. But in the end, he did say to the kid, look, you know, it doesn't matter who, if I'm the secretary or the bloody bizzer, you've got every right to pull me into gear.
As chairman.
Yeah, as
See,
chairman.
Well, that's another thing that we learnt.
Yeah.
The rules of chairmanship, the rules of meetings. And those meetings were, I mean, you wouldn't have seen too many disruptive meetings in your time at sea. There'd be controversy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There'd be a hell of a lot of controversy and difference of opinions.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have seen them being destructive. The chairman always ruled. And no, those meetings down there, and that's the way it should be. You should place young people in those positions.
And the majority of the deck boys, their job was minute secretary.
That's right.
And that's how you learn.
Exactly right, minute secretary. Yeah. I was, as an ordinary seaman, I was co-delegate.
Yeah.
You know, made you co-delegate.
That was another thing too. You went with them and learnt there.
It was funny though when you went up there with the old blokes and sticking it in the old man, and you know you'd be standing there grinning and laughing, you know.
Yeah.
But you got exposed to it all.
That's right. Yeah.
No exposure. That was it.
Yeah.
But it was about the struggle, and that's what the Seamen's Union was about. It was about the struggle for the betterment of the mankind.
That's right.
You know, it wasn't about sitting back and copping the union fees and just doing bugger all.
Yeah.
Continue, and not only just us. Look at all the overseas FOC seamen we supported. You know, we supported the South African,
the Greek seamen,
the Greek bloody seamen. Had heaps of Greek seamen. You know, in Asia. You know, we are internationalists. That's what we really are, because we involved ourselves in, and we just can't walk away from our retirement either. And that's exactly what I do with the vets.
Well, that's right.
Exactly how the vets are. functioning. We're political,
Yeah.
and as we got our slogan is, we retired from the job, but we're not retired from the struggle.
Struggle, that's right.
And I mean that bears it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Mm.
Well, you know, you're talking about internationals. Alan Oliver does a trip to Vietnam. I think 1 or 2 trips a year, and they support a school up there in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Where they reckon, I've never been to Vietnam, but they say that the Australian Seamen's Union, you know, held in very high regard.
Yeah, high esteem.
High esteem across there.
Yeah. No, I got a hell of a lot of time for Alan. I know I've known him for years and years and years, and another good bloke. I mean, that's what made it going to see blokes like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I keep getting phone calls from him every now and then. I've got this bloke you've got to come up and do. You've got to do this bloke. I've got another. Righto, well, as you'll see through that, there's quite a few there which I haven't got around to doing yet.
The sad part about all this is that some of those early, I mean, as late as on Monday when I was in Sydney and Mark Tootley come up there and I said, how's your Uncle Maxie Best going? And he tells me now that Maxie's in a home because of Alzheimer's. Gee. There was a man that was superbly strong, superbly fit. Yeah. And you hate to hear that. Yeah. You know, and I mean, Alan has got a problem with the memory. Sometimes you can phone him up and he forgets like hell. Forgets the bit of paper where he puts it, you know. But that's what's happening with age. And that's why this within the Seaman's Union and the Maritime Union, to keep the younger men involved in, and we do this here. We keep the younger men involved in it.
That's why we're doing this way here, which is different to the way Brittain was doing it and the official historians of the union is doing it, because they're doing the history of the union. Yeah. We're doing the history of the unionists, the men behind the union, which is if not more, well, it is more important, because without the men, the union's nothing. You haven't got a union.
Yeah, I can honestly say that I was proud every moment and every second I've been a member of the Seaman's Union. And I hold that in high esteem till the day I die.
Yeah, that seems to be the common thread that goes right through that. Yeah. We're getting near to the end of this now, mate. What was your last ship?
The Nervosa, as I said, the Nervosa. And unfortunately I wasn't well on that ship. And we spent a month up. I was away 4 months. And unfortunately my wife wasn't well, not unbeknown to me. You know. Anyway, that was to be honest with you, I'd still love to go back to sea right now. You know, I'm not. I said to my doctor only a short time ago, a few months ago, I said, James, I'd love to go back. He said,
sorry, Fred.
Sorry, Fred. He said, have a look at your history. You should have been dead 4.5 years ago. But people don't understand that it's in there, and you just can't rip it away. You know what I mean?
Now there's something here that you were supposed to bring up too in this, Fredo.
Yeah. Oh, from Billy Bobman. Yeah. Billy Bobman was one of my inspirational figures from when I was a deck boy, because I'll tell you a funny thing about Bill. I'm a mad guitarist, see? And the third engineer, unbeknown to everybody, was a jazz guitarist, and he was teaching me some scales, see? So, Bono caught me one night sneaking up the midships. That little, if you remember that little bloody seat they had outside the accommodation, that's it. And he said, where are you going? I said, I'm going up to see the third mate to learn to play the guitar. Put that fucking guitar away and start learning some fucking Marxism, you idiot. And that was, you know, but I did both. Yeah. I did both because I found a balance, because I needed both, you know. Yeah. And no, Bill was a tremendous orator in his own way. He was a director, but he was also a compassionate man. Yeah. He was a total committed socialist till the minute he died, and you know, he's left his mark in this region and around Australia and internationally for a long, long time. We thought that much of him that we're setting up a scholarship, a political scholarship at the university, and that'll be the Bobman. And he's not just left his mark with me; he's left his mark with everyone that he ever touched. And we were. See, this is the thing that people don't understand. If the word blessed, all of us that went to sea, including yourself, we were blessed because we're enriched with the people we live with. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Not like the bloke goes to work, he's got good workmates and that, but he hasn't got the opportunity to sit down and converse with him. Really doesn't know him at the end of the day. That's right. I mean, how many times would I get a phone call, Fredo, what are you doing? And I told you about the position of going to the Hunter number 1 dispute.
Yeah.
You know, and when we got there, we marched down there with a flag going, and unbelievable, the tears coming from men. They thought they were buggered. They thought it was over. And we just revved it into it and lightened it up and kept it going. And that still gets mentioned today. But not just that. There'd be a phone call, Fredo, Rubber Legs is in hospital in Curry. He's been there 2 months. Got no one. Can you go and see what you can do?
Yeah.
So I went up. I got him a unit. But the doctor wouldn't release him because he'd be on his own. So I got him into a nursing home with our contacts in the miners. And when he died, we found out he had heaps of relation. And that's the only time that I saw Bill go right off.
Yeah.
Because he conned us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. We still looked after him.
Yeah.
And it'd be, it'd be a phone call after phone call. Fredo, can you bloody drive the bus, you know? With the Boeing dispute, we were always going out there helping them.
Yeah.
Every Thursday, there was some section of the organisation that was out there to let the base go home. He had his finger on the, and it's a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
You know, with him.
Yeah.
But I was very, very fortunate because the last 5 months of Bill's life, we spent a lot of time together because this was going through anyway, me taking over the national side and he stopped in the branch.
Yeah, because
and
that's the next question. What do you do now? You've had to take over the act,
Bill's job as the National Secretary of the Maritime Veterans, and I'm proud of that. It's a hell of a job, but I'm proud that he asked me, you know what I mean? And that he had the faith in me to be able to do it. And it's been a hard job, but I tell you what, it's also been very rewarding because exactly like the Seamen's Union, all those old blokes from the wharves or the painters and dockers or the seamen or the associations that affiliate with us, they've all been tremendous and they've all been committed. And you can converse on an equal basis with them. But we're going strong, we recognise internationally. I'm going over to the States next Thursday because of that recognition that Bill created with old Harry Black and that over there. So no, the veterans, it's a near full-time thing, but it's a voluntary thing, and I'm pleased to do it.
Yeah.
I've got to say this, the old prick's not here, old Tommy, but without him, it would have been that much harder because he does all my research for me, a lot of it, and he's a hell of an old bloke. It's just that I can't give him any Chinese cakes because he bloody can't help himself. And
well, I'm going to get Tommy on the way back.
Yeah, get him on the way back and pound it into him.
Yeah.
But he's a man of knowledge and another one that's been inspirational in my life because Tommy and me go back many, many years. We've gone to a hell of a lot of delegations away, Tommy and I.
Yeah.
And he's got me into a hell of a lot of trouble over the bloody years. He used to phone up my missus, you know, and he used to say, "Hey Lynn, is he still chasing around the bedroom?" You know, things like that, and they all loved him, though. But and that's what's made, you know, that's what makes it worthwhile. I go to Melbourne and see Percy and see the work that they're doing. I go to Brisbane and see Cole and the hell of a work that Cole's doing up in Queensland. You couldn't get a better bloke, and he's got a hell of a job. And he's got my admiration because he's got 6 marginal seats, and it's the veterans that are working their butt out at the moment. You take old Rexy Munn from bloody Adelaide, they've only got about 20 odd, but they're working their butt out. The same in Canberra, really working. Sydney, a bit slower, but they're doing the work. Old Harry Black's been sick, and Bill's been sick, but they keep going wherever you go. Some of those blokes are in their bloody 80s. There's 3 of them sitting there that are 90 in Sydney. You know what I mean? Yeah. And still get there every Tuesday to see what they can do. So that tells you in itself. They're dedicated, you know, 90 bloody years.
That's right.
No, Wayne, the veterans is the thing to go into. I mean, we hold it, the veterans meetings in most of the places are held like the stock work meetings. So we haven't moved away from that philosophy, you know what I mean? No,
that's good.
We do the reports, they get a branch report and a national report. So I put that leaflet out every month. Tommy and I do, every 2 months I should say, do a newsletter to them all. But it's we're getting that recognition, and we do the politicians who talk about the MUA veterans, they'll sit up and listen to you, but I have very little faith in some of them. You know what I mean? Some of those politicians.
Yeah, true, mate. Well, we only got virtually one question left. What do you think of the industry today, mate?
The industry today is, look, to me there's a great lot of positiveness. There's a lot of hard work for the younger members in the industry today because it's mechanised. There's a hell of a lot of pressures to it with the competition that goes on. But I believe that I have a lot of faith in the younger blokes. I really do, because we get them here, and if we can pass on them what is necessary for them to understand, they'll be able to cope with the future. Just like we did. It's the principles are the same, but the mechanism to it is different. That's all it is. But the industry is completely different in the way that the politics is a lot harder in some areas because of the IR laws. Also, the world competition and the corporates being able to mount their attack on the working class the way they have. But all in all, I believe there is a future in our organisation. It'll be there for a long time, providing that we have the sensible leadership that we've had and understands the politics, and there is younger people emerging that will be able to take that position over. But it is difficult. There's no doubt about that. No better, no different in some ways to when we were young blokes. The principles were the same. They're fighting for the same conditions, survival. That's what they do now. But it's the mechanism that's different. Where we stuck a ship up, they just can't stick a job up. So there's a hell of a lot to be said there. So they've got to use the mechanism that's available to them, like OH&S and everything else. But no, I have a great admiration. I go around all the ports and I talk to a lot of young people, and as well as our members, and they're supportive of us. They really are, because when I did the financial drive there early in the year, the ships and the branches, mate, they support us tremendously. I mean, I go down to Melbourne, your port, and Kevin Brittain can't do enough for us. Every port I ever go to, the officials can't do enough for you, and it's because of the respect that they feel. No, I believe that you've got some hell of a good officials there, but it's a hard job, an awful hard job.
Well, mate, that's about it. Have you got anything you want to add to it?
No, all I want to do is say that be grateful for the first bloke that signed I can't remember his name, I think it was Chris that signed my white card. It was Chris.
Not Pissy Chrissy.
No, not Pissy Chris from Queensland, Chris from Newcastle.
Little Chrissy, the storekeeper on the Iron Kimberley.
Yeah, he died not long ago.
I'll be bugging.
Yeah, he died not long ago. Up in Tamworth.
Is Twiggy still alive?
I don't know if Twig's alive. You know, he had his second mate stickers for the Norwegian second mate sticker.
You know? Buggered, eh?
Yeah, he died. He passed away.
He was my LC daddy too.
Was he?
Chris, he was storekeeper on the Kimberley.
That's him. That's him. He was there for a long time. Yeah. Good bloke. So he signed me card, and I thank
Dad know that.
Yeah. And I thank him, and because they were the delegates. So he was one of the delegates. So you understand exactly the road that we took. Except when he used to get pissed, that used to be funny, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was only wondering about Chris there last time I was up with Dad.
The dark.
I went to his wedding when he married Twiggy.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we had the the reception in the bloody Vicky bar.
Did you?
Yeah.
I see. The reason they moved up to Tamworth was because of Twiggy. With the asthma, she was a chronic asthmatic. But he was a wonderful bloke.
Oh, he's a top bloke, Chrissy.
And I mean all those. But no, all I've got to say is that I wish him the best and every success for the organisation, and we'll be there, the vets, to support him.